A mother of 8 was shot and killed last week in North Charleston. Our Conley Grayson joins us now. And Conley, you talked with Maya Simmons' grandmother today, and she really misses her, doesn't she?
Jennifer told me losing her first granddaughter has been hard. Maya Jennifer was named after her, and they were very close.
That night at Bloom Room nightclub parking lot should have been filled with celebration. Maya Jennifer Simmons, a 30-year-old mother of 8, had just experienced one of life's most joyous moments. A proposal from the man she loved. The diamond on her finger still caught the neon lights as she stepped outside, surrounded by friends, her heart full of dreams for the future. None of them saw Kaisha Simmons Birch watching from the shadows. The confrontation started suddenly. What began as a night of celebration for Maya quickly descended into a heated exchange. Security footage showed Kaisha approaching Maya with some serious anger. Friends tried to calm the situation, urging Maya to leave to not let the confrontation ruin her perfect night. But Kaisha was too angry to even let anyone stop her. She quickly reached into her purse. By the time anyone realized what was happening, the sound of gunshots shattered the night air. In just moments, a mother of 8 children went from planning her wedding to fighting for her life. Maya had posted something on Snapchat the night before she was killed, saying, "Time is short. You know, I think we all should take a lot more pictures and stuff and memories because you just never know." Why would someone get to such a breaking point over a relationship? What happened in that parking lot that night was a serious crime, and we're going to reveal all of it. Welcome to Crazy Dark Files, where we shed light on the darkest true crime stories to help raise awareness and promote safety. By liking this video, sharing and subscribing to this channel, you're helping raise awareness, spread caution, and maybe even save someone else from the same fate. Don't just scroll past. Be the reason someone stays safe. Maya Jennifer Simmons lived for her children. At just 30 years old, she had built her entire world around her 8 kids, creating a home filled with love, despite the financial struggles that often accompanied single motherhood. Friends described Maya as the kind of mother who never missed a school event, who worked multiple jobs when necessary, and who somehow still found time to braid hair and check homework each night. She was magic with those kids. Her grandmother Jennifer Ferguson told local reporters, "Maya had 8 children and was always focused on giving them the best life, despite the heartache of losing one of her twins." The loss of her daughter Dream had been devastating, yet Maya channeled her grief into becoming an even more devoted mother to her remaining children. The bond between Maya and her grandmother Jennifer was extraordinary. Having been raised primarily by Jennifer after her own mother struggled with addiction, Maya learned resilience and unconditional love from the woman she called her real mom. Jennifer had taught Maya how to cook traditional family recipes, how to budget on next to nothing, and most importantly, how to find joy in life's simple moments. "We'd sit on the porch swing some evenings, just watching her kids play in the yard," Jennifer recalled, tears streaming down her face. She'd tell me about wanting to go back to school someday, about opening her own daycare center where mothers could afford quality childcare.
She put a post up the night before she went out on Snap. And it said, "Time is short." You know, I think we all should take a lot more pictures and stuff and memories and stuff because you just don't never know. And just look, hours later, she was killed.
Education had always been important to Maya, though she had put her own dreams on hold when she became pregnant with her first child at 17. She had recently begun taking online courses toward a degree in early childhood education, determined to create a better future for her family. Her notebook was filled with business plans for Maya's Little Angels Daycare, complete with curriculum ideas and budget projections. The challenges Maya overcame would have broken many others, from the father of her first 3 children abandoning the family to losing her job during the pandemic to the heartbreaking loss of her daughter Dream. Maya faced each obstacle with remarkable strength. She worked cleaning houses, did hair from her kitchen on weekends, and even sold homemade baked goods to make ends meet. "That girl never complained," said her closest friend Tasha. She'd be dead tired from working all day, but she'd still help her oldest with his science project or read bedtime stories to the little ones. The proposal had represented a new chapter for Maya, After 2 years of dating a man who had embraced her children as his own, she finally felt she had found a partner who respected her independence while offering the support she deserved. Friends noticed a new lightness in her step, a brightness in her eyes that had been missing for years. "She called me right after he proposed," Jennifer said, clutching a photo of Maya. She was laughing and crying at the same time, saying, "Grandma, I finally got it right this time." She was planning to have all 8 kids be part of the wedding ceremony. That engagement ring symbolized more than just marriage for Maya. It represented stability, partnership, and the family unit she had always wanted for her children. The diamond wasn't large, but Maya had told her grandmother it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen because of what it means for our future. No one could have predicted that the symbol of her new beginning would trigger the violent end to all her dreams. July 28, 2023, began as an ordinary Friday for Maya Jennifer Simmons. She dropped her younger children at her grandmother's house and spent the afternoon getting her hair and nails done, small luxuries she rarely afforded herself. Her closest friends later recalled how excited she had been about the evening ahead, though she had no idea what was truly being planned. "She thought we were just celebrating my promotion," said Letitia, Maya's friend of over 15 years. "She kept saying she didn't need to get so dressed up, but we insisted. We all knew what was coming except her." The Bloom Room nightclub on Atlanta's East Side was known for its intimate atmosphere and weekend DJ sets. By 9:30 p.m., Maya and 7 friends had arrived, securing a reserved section near the dance floor. The venue's signature blue lighting cast a glow across their table as bottles of champagne arrived, another surprise that made Maya raise her eyebrows in suspicion. "Why are we drinking the expensive stuff?" security cameras caught her asking, laughing as her friends exchanged knowing glances. At approximately 10:45 p.m., according to multiple witness accounts, Maya's boyfriend of 2 years arrived. He had told her he would be working late, another small deception in the evening's elaborate plan. Dressed in a tailored suit that stood out among the club's more casual patrons, he made his way directly to their table. What happened next was captured on at least 12 different cell phones. As the DJ lowered the music, Maya's boyfriend took her hand and led her to the center of the dance floor. Friends formed a circle around him as he dropped to one knee, producing a small velvet box from his pocket. "The whole place went quiet," recalled the bartender who had served them earlier. "Everyone loves seeing a proposal." She had her hands over her mouth in shock, and when she said yes, the entire club erupted in cheers. Security footage from the Bloom Room shows the moment clearly. Maya nodding emphatically, tears streaming down her face as her boyfriend slipped the ring onto her finger. Friends rushed forward to embrace them both. Champagne was poured, and for approximately 45 minutes, the celebration continued without incident. What none of them noticed was Kaisha Simmons Birch sitting at the bar, watching the entire scene unfold. According to witnesses, Kaisha had arrived at the Bloom Room alone around 10:15 p.m. She ordered a single drink and positioned herself with a clear view of Maya's table. Whether her presence was coincidental or planned remains disputed, but security footage shows her reaction to the proposal was immediate and visceral. She downed her drink in one gulp and gripped the bar so tightly her knuckles whitened. The first confrontation occurred at approximately 11:50 p.m. As Maya made her way to the restroom, Kaisha intercepted her in the narrow hallway. 3 witnesses reported hearing raised voices, though the music made it difficult to discern exact words. "The older woman was pointing at Maya's ring, getting in her face," said one patron who witnessed the exchange. "Maya kept trying to step around her, but this woman wouldn't let her pass." Security camera footage shows a club employee approaching the 2 women, at which point Kaisha backed away, allowing Maya to continue to the restroom. Maya immediately texted her friends, who met her outside the restroom door to escort her back to their table. "She was shaken up," Letitia later told police. She said the woman claimed to be involved with her fiancé and was making threats. "We told Maya to ignore her, that some people just can't stand seeing others happy." For the next 30 minutes, the situation appeared to diffuse. Maya's group moved their celebration to a more private section of the club, and Kaisha remained at the bar, now ordering stronger drinks in quick succession. Witnesses reported seeing her make several phone calls, her agitation visibly growing with each one. At 12:35 a.m., Maya's fiancé suggested they continue the celebration at another venue. As the group gathered their belongings and prepared to leave, security cameras captured Kaisha exiting the club ahead of them. What no one realized was that she wasn't leaving, she was merely stepping outside to retrieve something from her car.
North Charleston police say that a woman has turned herself in for a July shooting that left one person dead. 39-year-old Kaisha Simmons Birch has been charged with manslaughter and possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime. This is in connection to the shooting at the Bloom Room on July 28th that killed 30-year-old Maya Simmons. North Charleston police found Simmons shot. She later died at the hospital. Birch turned herself in today and has been booked into the Al Cannon Detention Center.
At 39 years old, Kaisha Simmons Birch presented herself to the world as a successful woman who had everything under control. She worked as an administrative assistant at a local insurance company, maintained a tidy apartment in a respectable neighborhood, and was known among colleagues as someone who kept to herself, but remained unfailingly professional. But beneath this carefully maintained exterior lay a complex web of insecurities and volatile emotions that few people ever glimpsed. Kaisha and Maya weren't strangers, though they weren't close friends either. They had met several times through mutual acquaintances, with Kaisha always maintaining a polite but distant demeanor toward the younger woman. What Maya didn't know was that Kaisha had been watching her with growing resentment for months. The connection between these two women centered around one man, the same man who had just proposed to Maya at the Bloom Room nightclub. According to friends of both women, Kaisha and this man had dated intermittently for nearly 3 years before he met Maya. Their relationship had been tumultuous, marked by frequent breakups and reconciliations that left Kaisha emotionally exhausted, but unwilling to let go. She always thought they would end up together, explained Kaisha's cousin in a later interview. Even when they weren't officially together, she'd say things like, "He always comes back to me," or "We're just on a break." She never truly accepted it was over. The final breakup had occurred approximately 6 months before he began dating Maya. Text messages recovered from Kaisha's phone revealed she had continued reaching out to him, alternating between angry accusations and desperate pleas to reconcile. He had responded less and less frequently, eventually telling her directly that he had moved on and was in a serious relationship with someone new. That someone was Maya Simmons. Co-workers at the insurance office noticed changes in Kaisha's behavior around this time. She began calling in sick more frequently, appeared distracted during meetings, and was caught several times looking at Maya's social media accounts during work hours. One colleague reported finding Kaisha crying in the break room after seeing a photo of her ex with Maya and her children at a local park. She became obsessed with knowing everything about Maya, the colleague stated. She would bring her up in conversation for no reason, asking if anyone knew her or had heard anything about her relationship. There had been warning signs of Kaisha's escalating jealousy in the months leading up to that fatal night. On 2 separate occasions, she had coincidentally appeared at restaurants where Maya and her boyfriend were dining. A mutual friend reported that Kaisha had once followed them from a distance at a shopping mall, watching as they shopped for Maya's children. Perhaps most concerning was an incident 3 weeks before the proposal, when Kaisha confronted the couple outside a movie theater. Witnesses described her as agitated and confrontational, demanding to speak with her ex alone. When he refused, she had screamed that he was making the biggest mistake of his life, before security asked her to leave. In the days leading up to July 28th, Kaisha's social media activity painted a picture of a woman on the edge. Her posts became increasingly cryptic, with references to karma and "what's meant to be will always find a way." Her final post, made just hours before arriving at the Bloom Room nightclub, read simply, "Some people don't deserve their happiness." Phone records would later show that Kaisha had called her ex 17 times on the day of the proposal, each call going unanswered. What investigators couldn't determine was whether Kaisha knew about the planned proposal in advance, or if her presence at the Bloom Room that night was a tragic coincidence, one that would forever alter multiple lives. The Bloom Room's parking lot was dimly lit on the night of July 28th, with security cameras covering only the entrance and not the far corner where Maya and her friends had parked. As the group exited the club at 12:40 a.m., the night air was warm and still. Maya walked arm in arm with her new fiancé, the ring on her finger catching what little light there was, as they laughed and discussed where to continue their celebration. None of them noticed Kaisha's dark sedan parked 3 spaces away from their vehicles. According to multiple witness statements, Maya's group had split into smaller clusters as they approached their cars. Maya and her fiancé, along with 2 friends, headed toward a blue SUV, while the others walked slightly ahead toward another vehicle. Security footage from the club's entrance shows Kaisha emerging from between two parked cars, approximately 20 feet ahead of them. "At first, I thought she was just another patron leaving the club," said Darnell Williams, who had been walking directly behind Maya. "Then I realized it was the same woman from inside who had been giving Maya trouble. She was just standing there, blocking the path." Maya's fiancé stepped forward, positioning himself slightly in front of Maya. "We don't want any problems," he said, according to multiple witnesses. "Just let us pass." Kaisha's response was chillingly calm. "You really think you're going to marry her?" she asked, her voice steady despite having consumed several drinks inside. Witnesses described her demeanor as eerily controlled, as she stood with her right hand concealed inside her purse. Maya, attempting to defuse the situation, spoke directly to Kaisha. "This doesn't have to be like this," she said. "We can all move on with our lives." What happened next occurred in a matter of seconds. Kaisha removed her hand from her purse, revealing a 9mm handgun. Before anyone could react, she raised the weapon and fired 5 shots in rapid succession. "It was so fast," recalled Letitia, who had been standing nearest to Maya. "One second we were talking, the next there was just the sound of gunshots and screaming." 4 of the 5 bullets struck Maya, 2 in the chest, 1 in the abdomen, and 1 in the right shoulder. She collapsed immediately onto the asphalt as her friends scrambled for cover behind nearby vehicles. Her fiancé dropped to his knees beside her, frantically trying to stop the bleeding with his jacket while screaming for someone to call 911. In the chaos that followed, multiple witnesses reported that Kaisha made no attempt to flee. Instead, she lowered the gun to her side and stood motionless, watching as Maya's fiancé cradled her bleeding body. "She just stood there with this blank expression," said one witness who had been walking to his car when the shots rang out. "Like she was watching a movie instead of a real person dying in front of her." Security guards from the Bloom Room reached the scene within moments, one restraining Kaisha while another attempted to provide first aid to Maya. Police and emergency medical services arrived just 7 minutes after the first 911 call was placed. Paramedics worked frantically to stabilize Maya in the parking lot. Body camera footage from responding officers shows the devastating scene. Maya's friends huddled together in shock, her fiancé covered in her blood. "She kept saying he was supposed to be mine over and over," reported Officer James Kendrick, who transported Kaisha from the scene. "Not yelling it, just repeating it like she was trying to convince herself." Despite the paramedics' best efforts, Maya Jennifer Simmons was pronounced dead at 1:37 a.m. at Atlanta Medical Center, less than 3 hours after accepting a marriage proposal that represented all her hopes for the future. The engagement ring was still on her finger when doctors pronounced her death. As news of the shooting spread through social media and local news outlets, the community struggled to comprehend how a night of celebration could end so tragically. 8 children went to bed that night not knowing they would wake up without their mother. What do you think drives someone to commit such an act over a relationship? Share your thoughts in the comments below, because understanding these triggers might help prevent similar tragedies in the future. The emergency department at Atlanta Medical Center erupted into action when paramedics radioed ahead about an incoming gunshot victim with multiple wounds. A trauma team assembled in the ambulance bay ready to receive Maya Jennifer Simmons, whose vital signs were rapidly deteriorating despite the paramedics' interventions. "She coded twice in the ambulance," one paramedic later testified. "We got her back both times, but her blood pressure kept dropping. There was just too much internal damage." Hospital security footage shows Maya being rushed through the emergency doors, medical staff already performing chest compressions as they moved. Her fiancé, still covered in her blood, attempted to follow but was directed to a private waiting area where 2 officers stayed with him to gather preliminary information about the shooting. Despite the trauma team's efforts, including emergency blood transfusions and attempts to repair the damage to her heart and lungs, Maya Jennifer Simmons was pronounced dead at 1:37 a.m. The official cause of death was listed as exsanguination due to multiple gunshot wounds to the thoracic cavity. The grim task of notifying Maya's family fell to officers, who arrived at Jennifer Ferguson's home at 2:23 a.m. Body camera footage captured the moment Jennifer opened her door to find police on her doorstep, her hand immediately flying to her mouth, as if she already knew why they had come. "Is it Maya?" she asked before they could speak. "Please don't tell me it's Maya." Inside the house, Maya's 8 children slept peacefully, unaware that their lives had been irrevocably altered. The youngest, just 3 years old, had been tucked into bed by Maya herself earlier that evening, before she went out to celebrate. "How do I tell them?" Jennifer asked the officers through her tears. "How do I tell these babies their mama isn't coming home?" Meanwhile, at the Bloom Room parking lot, the investigation was already in full swing. Crime scene technicians photographed and collected evidence, including 5 shell casings from the 9mm handgun and blood spatter patterns that would later help reconstruct the exact positions of everyone involved. The parking lot remained cordoned off until nearly 6 a.m., as investigators meticulously documented every detail. At police headquarters, detectives began interviewing witnesses, building a timeline of events leading up to the shooting. By dawn, he had taken statements from 12 people who had witnessed either the confrontation inside the club, the shooting itself, or both. The consistency across witness statements was remarkable, a detective noted in his report. There was no question about who fired the shots or why. This wasn't a case of who did it, but rather understanding the mindset that led to such a senseless act. The weapon used in the shooting was quickly traced back to Kaisha Simmons Birch. She had purchased the 9mm handgun legally 6 weeks earlier at a gun shop in Marietta, Georgia. Store records showed it was her first firearm purchase, and she had completed all required background checks and waiting periods. A search of Kaisha's apartment, conducted with a warrant obtained, revealed a troubling collection of evidence. Investigators discovered a journal containing multiple entries about Maya and her relationship with Kaisha's ex-boyfriend. Photos of the couple, apparently taken from social media and printed out, were found pinned to a corkboard in her bedroom. Most concerning was a list titled, "Ways to Make Her Go Away," though none of the items explicitly mentioned violence. Kaisha's phone, recovered from her purse at the time of arrest, provided additional insight into her state of mind. Text messages to friends in the weeks leading up to the shooting showed increasing fixation on Maya and the relationship. In one message sent just 3 days before the shooting, Kaisha wrote, "I can't sleep knowing he might marry her. I can't eat. I can't think about anything else." By morning, as news of the shooting spread throughout Atlanta, investigators had assembled a clear picture of what had occurred. A tragedy born of jealousy, obsession, and a gun in the hands of someone consumed by both. Kaisha Simmons Birch was formally charged on July 30, 2023, just 2 days after the shooting. She appeared before the judge at the Fulton County Courthouse wearing a standard-issue orange jumpsuit, her hair pulled back in a simple ponytail, a stark contrast to the carefully styled appearance she had maintained at the Bloom Room nightclub. The charges against her were severe: 1 count of second-degree murder, 1 count of possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, and 1 count of aggravated assault. The district attorney's office had considered first-degree murder charges, but ultimately determined that while Kaisha had clearly intended to harm Maya, the evidence suggested the shooting was not premeditated in the strictest legal sense. The defendant acted with malice and reckless disregard for human life, stated the assistant district attorney during the arraignment. She brought a loaded firearm to confront the victim and deliberately fired multiple shots at close range into a crowded area. When asked how she pleaded, Kaisha responded in a barely audible voice, "Not guilty." The judge denied bail, citing both the severity of the charges and the risk that Kaisha might pose to others connected to the case. Defense attorney appointed to represent Kaisha after she was unable to afford private counsel initially attempted to build a case around temporary insanity and diminished capacity. He argued that his client had been suffering from severe emotional distress and had snapped under the pressure of seeing her former partner propose to another woman. Ms. Simmons Birch was not in her right mind that night, the defense told reporters outside the courthouse. She had been experiencing significant mental health issues exacerbated by alcohol consumption and emotional trauma. This is a tragedy for everyone involved, but not a premeditated act of violence. This defense strategy shifted dramatically in September 2023, when they filed a motion claiming self-defense. According to this new narrative, Maya had allegedly threatened Kaisha inside the club and made a movement that Kaisha interpreted as reaching for a weapon in the parking lot. This claim was immediately contradicted by all witness statements and security footage, which clearly showed Maya making no threatening gestures. Maya's family was outraged by this attempt to blame the victim. "My granddaughter never carried a weapon in her life," Jennifer Ferguson told reporters. "She was a mother trying to protect her children and build a future. To suggest she threatened anyone is not just a lie, it's a desecration of her memory."
She taught her children how precious God is, how that when you die, you go to heaven and God will take care of you. So her children, even though they're sad, they're like, "Mommy's in heaven. She's in heaven with Dream."
Jennifer has spent much of her time lately at church.
From the moment I walked into the sanctuary, I could feel her spirit.
And she's praying justice will be served.
Maya loved the Lord inside and out. Her faith was so strong that whatever is going to happen now, it's going to be all right.
The trial began on February 12, 2024, and lasted just 7 days. The prosecution presented overwhelming evidence, including the security footage, witness testimonies, and forensic analysis showing that Maya had been shot from a distance of approximately 6 feet, too far to have posed an immediate physical threat to Kaisha. Perhaps most damaging to the defense was testimony from the bartender at the Bloom Room, who stated that Kaisha had told him earlier in the evening, "Some people don't know when to back off from what isn't theirs," while watching Maya celebrate her engagement. The jury deliberated for less than 5 hours before returning with a unanimous guilty verdict on all charges. As the verdict was read, Kaisha showed little emotion, staring straight ahead, while Maya's family members embraced each other in the gallery. At the sentencing hearing on March 8, 2024, Kaisha finally spoke at length, offering what some described as a half-hearted apology. "I never meant for things to go this far," she said, addressing the court rather than Maya's family. "I just wanted him to see that he was making a mistake. I didn't go there planning to hurt anyone." The judge was unmoved by this statement. "The evidence clearly shows that you brought a loaded firearm to confront a woman who posed no threat to you," he said, before delivering his sentence. "Your actions were driven by jealousy and a sense of entitlement that cost 8 children their mother and a community one of its most beloved members." Kaisha Simmons Birch was sentenced to 35 years in prison, with the possibility of parole after serving 25 years. As she was led from the courtroom, Maya's fiancé sat with his head bowed, the engagement ring that had once symbolized their future together now hanging from a chain around his neck. In the modest 3-bedroom home where Maya Jennifer Simmons had raised her children, the silence in the days following her death was deafening. 8 children, ranging in age from 3 to 15, struggled to comprehend a world without their mother's laughter, her morning wake-up calls, and the unconditional love that had been the foundation of their lives. "The little ones keep asking when Mommy's coming home," Jennifer Ferguson explained, her voice breaking as she folded laundry that still carried her granddaughter's scent. "The older ones understand she's gone, but they're angry. They want to know why someone would take their mother away over something so senseless." Jennifer, at 67, suddenly found herself the primary caregiver for all 8 children. Despite her own overwhelming grief, she maintained the routines Maya had established. School drop-offs, homework sessions, and family dinners where Maya's empty chair stood as a painful reminder of their loss. "Maya was my heart," Jennifer said during a community vigil held 2 weeks after the shooting. "She was the kind of mother who worked 3 jobs if necessary to make sure her babies had what they needed. Now I have to be strong for them, but there are moments when I just don't know how." The financial burden was immediate and crushing. Maya had been the family's primary breadwinner, working full-time at a local healthcare facility while maintaining part-time evening work to provide for her children. Without her income, the family faced potential eviction within months. The community's response was swift and heartfelt. A GoFundMe campaign organized by Maya's co-workers raised over $87,000 in the first week. Local businesses contributed to a trust fund for the children's education, and neighbors established a meal train that ensured the family had home-cooked dinners delivered every evening for 3 months. Maya's employer posthumously awarded her a service recognition that included a $25,000 life insurance benefit, and her church congregation raised funds to cover funeral expenses. At the memorial service, the line of attendees stretched around the block, a testament to how many lives she had touched. For Maya's fiancé, the path forward was equally challenging. He visited the children regularly, maintaining the connection to the family that would have become officially his. During the trial, he sat with Jennifer each day, sometimes holding the hands of Maya's older children as they listened to the painful details of their mother's final moments. "He lost his future wife, but these children lost their mother," said Pastor Elijah Thompson, who counseled the family. "There's no roadmap for navigating that kind of grief. They're all just trying to find their way through the darkness together." The ripple effects extended beyond Maya's immediate family. Her death sparked conversations about domestic violence prevention and the dangers of obsessive behavior in relationships. Local schools implemented additional counseling resources after several of Maya's children's classmates showed signs of trauma and anxiety. The death of Maya Jennifer Simmons represents more than just an individual tragedy. It illuminates dangerous patterns that, when recognized early, might prevent similar violence. Psychologists who reviewed Kaisha Simmons Birch's case identified classic warning signs of pathological jealousy that escalated to deadly consequences. If just one person had recognized the danger and alerted security when Kaisha was seen waiting in the parking lot, Maya might still be alive. For families like Maya's who are left to rebuild after tragedy, community support remains vital long after the initial shock fades. Research shows that children who lose parents to homicide face unique challenges, including complicated grief, post-traumatic stress, and financial instability. Maya's story serves as both a warning and a call to action, a reminder that addressing dangerous behaviors early and supporting victims effectively requires commitment from individuals, communities, and institutions alike. On what would have been Maya Jennifer Simmons' 31st birthday, her family gathered at Oakland Cemetery, where a small memorial garden had been planted in her honor. 8 children placed handmade cards beside a photograph of their mother, her smile radiant, her eyes reflecting the warmth and compassion that had defined her 30 years of life. Maya wasn't famous, Jennifer Ferguson said, watching her grandchildren arrange wildflowers around the memorial stone. She wasn't wealthy or powerful, but she was everything to us, and her life mattered deeply. In the months since Maya's death, her story has become more than a tragic headline. It has evolved into a powerful narrative about the value of ordinary lives and the devastating ripple effects when those lives are cut short by violence. The Maya Jennifer Simmons Foundation has now assisted over 30 families across Georgia who have lost loved ones to violent crime. The foundation's signature program, Maya's Embrace, provides immediate financial assistance to help families cover funeral expenses, housing costs, and child care in the aftermath of tragedy. My daughter believed that nurturing others was her purpose, Jennifer explained during a recent fundraising event. She would be proud to know that even in death, she continues to care for children who need it most. Maya's case has also influenced local policy. The Fulton County District Attorney's Office now includes specific training on identifying and prosecuting cases involving obsessive ex-partners, recognizing that these situations often escalate to violence when intervention comes too late. The training program, informally known as Maya's Protocol, emphasizes early intervention in stalking cases. For Maya's fiancé, who has remained connected to her children while rebuilding his own life, the legacy is more personal. "I want people to remember that Maya wasn't just a victim," he said during a recent interview. "She was a woman with dreams, with a laugh that could fill a room, with hands that were always busy taking care of someone. The tragedy isn't just how she died, it's all the living she didn't get to do." Perhaps the most profound impact of Maya's story is invisible to most. It lies in the conversations that have taken place in homes across Atlanta and beyond. Conversations about recognizing dangerous jealousy, about setting boundaries in relationships, about valuing human life above possessive desires. These discussions, happening quietly among families and friends, may prevent future tragedies that will never make headlines precisely because they were avoided. As Jennifer Ferguson puts it, if just one person walks away from a potentially violent situation because they heard Maya's story, then my granddaughter's death wasn't completely in vain. The 8 children who lost their mother continue to grow, carrying pieces of Maya with them, her smile, her determination, her capacity for love. The oldest now helps care for her younger siblings, embodying her mother's nurturing spirit. The youngest, who has few memories of his mother, knows her through the stories told by family and the community that continues to honor her memory. This story shows how quickly life can change forever. A celebration turned to tragedy in mere moments, leaving 8 children without their mother and a community forever altered. The wounds of such violence never fully heal. They simply become part of the landscape of lives touched by loss. If this case affected you, make sure to subscribe for more in-depth true crime stories that help us understand and prevent these tragedies. By examining these difficult narratives, we honor victims like Maya Jennifer Simmons and work toward a world where fewer families face such devastating loss. What other cases would you like me to cover next?